Shalom. Kahalo Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak HaKodash. Shalom and salutations and double honors to the men of the great millstone where I learned this truth from. Shalom to the speckled bird, the confused face, the Akim and Aqua, the Akim on the highways and byways doing this work, making yourself a living sacrifice, and last but not least, the elect. My name is Yahalam, back again with another video, and I pray that you be edified with it. And we're going to entitle this The Past, the Present, and Future. And I have two videos that I was watching on TikTok that I got my inspiration from. And this dude on the left is like he's an educational 80s figure. Not necessarily that he some may or some may not notice this guy. I forgot his name, but he's been around in the 80s teaching. I believe he's a history teacher. And then on the right we got the present, speaking about the future. So and I forgot his name, as King or Salih King or something like that. But I'm gonna let both of these videos play and give you some edification and give you the scriptures, and that'll be that. So let's get to it real quick.
Then writing is more than math. It should first of all teach our children who they are. See, if you don't know who you are, then you will not know what to do with your life. And if you don't know what to do with it, then you won't know how to achieve your goals. So Alex Haley raised the question of who am I?
Now, for those who don't know who Alex Haley is, and I would believe that most do, but some don't, believe it or not. Alex Haley is the author of Roots, that was written as a book, and then made into a series in the late 70s, going into the 80s, about the history of you so-called blacks, which are you Israelites, going into slavery and the things that you've been through. So, and he talks pretty much about his family lifeline.
And he asked his mother, father, aunts, and his uncles who he was. Some people told Alex they were Negro. Some told Haley they were colored. Others told Alex they were black.
So you see her automatically. This is in a you could say probably in the 19 maybe 60s, and he's showing you that without people there's a lot of confusion.
Some said they were Afro-American. Some told Alex they were African. And lastly, some said American. Now, we have the only children and some adults that give 6 different answers to a very simple question like, who am I? Again, you cannot teach a child that is, first of all, not know who he is. It's more important than reading, math, and science. So we began to ask ourselves, why do Germans call themselves Germans? Why do Chinese call themselves Chinese? And we were told there's a land called Germany. There's a land called China. So let's go back to a world map. Germans are Germans, land called Germany. Chinese are Chinese, land called China. Let's go to a world map. Is there a place in the world called Negro land?
Well, there's not, and there never was a place. Well, Salakia, there's not, but there was a place in the 1600s called Negro land, which was on the west banks of Africa. So if you look at a 1500, 1600 map of West Africa, you'll see that they have places like Judah, Levi, and Benjamin, and also Negro land.
What about color land? What about black land? What about Afro-American land? There's only 2 answers left, Africa and America. But
now, we do know that those names come from Amerigo Vespucci and Leo Scipio Africanus. These were 2. One was Italian, and the other one was, I believe, a Roman. And these men are who our people are named after to this day.
Because the most of our children's mind when they hit it with Africa. Tarzan, running around, no clothes on, be honest. And what about America, red, white, and blue, and apple pie? That's because of this word right here. which is nothing but his story. You didn't know that? It's all history is. It's somebody's story. You know what I'm talking about. Columbus didn't discover America. He was lost. And he discovered.
Well, Columbus wasn't lost. When you truly study in depth of the time of Christopher Columbus, um, Christopher Columbus knew where he was going, and he knew who was there. Because he brought Israelite interpreters with him, so he understood that the northern tribes would be in what his place is, what they call America today. He understood that.
And Abraham Lincoln didn't free any slaves. Or another way to look at it, my story is very, very close to the word mystery. And I want to clear up a couple of mysteries right now. The book is titled Great People, Past and Present. What happened to a people that built the pyramids and yet now live in projects? What happened? What happened to a people that are the first to read and write using a term called hieroglyphics and yet now can no longer read or write? In essence, what happened to a people in terms of Egypt? It's amazing. King Tut came to America, and we didn't realize that King Tut was one of us. Somebody mysteriously took Egypt out of Africa and placed it in the Middle East. Now, how do you take a country out of a continent and then call it something else? As a result, we didn't realize that Egypt is in Africa. Egyptians are Africans, and we were the ones that built those pyramids.
So as you listen to what he's saying, he's telling you that we are the ones who built those pyramids. So listen to what he says after he says we the one built the pyramids, because when you read the scriptures, it tells you in Exodus who built the pyramids, and those people who built the pyramids were the Israelites. So this is the confusion. This is what he's going off at. Check it out.
My new history book, Lessons from History, Celebration in Blackness, for elementary, and there's also one for high school. You see, we are concerned about some issues here. The first one being, where do you start? You see, we have found that many black youth are embarrassed talking about the history. The Jews, now about the Holocaust, but us about slavery. I think one reason is where you start. The law says where you start will determine where you end up. Now, where do you want to start our children? If they started in 1619, they start on a plantation. That means they'll probably end up in a ghetto. But if you start 4 million years ago on a pyramid, they end up being free. Now, where do you want to start?
Even in that time of the book Exodus, it wasn't 4 million years ago. So he's going off on that, definitely.
Plantation on a pyramid. Because depending upon where you start will determine where they end up. Our first problem is we've been starting in the wrong place. And you cannot discuss 4 million years in 28 days. Black History Month. Now, I'm glad we got the month. It used to be a week. But you can't discuss 4 million years in 28 days. It's simply not enough time. And then the other issue, what are we going to discuss? You see, if all we're going to discuss are names and dates and events, then you can do that in about 28 days. When was King born? 29. When did he go to DC? 63. When did he get the Nobel Prize? 64. When did he die? 68. That would never change. But if you want to make it relevant, you connect the past with the present and with the future. In other words,
and this is what the scriptures do. It links the past, the future. It links the past, the present, and the future.
what were our mistakes?
There's no other book that is like the Bible. None that it could be its mate.
Because the mistakes you want to avoid, and the strengths you want to reinforce. I'll say it clearly. Those that don't know their history, don't know their mistakes, are destined to repeat it over and over and over and over again.
So, when you ask yourself why are you voting, or when you ask yourself why are the people voting, they're voting because they have no idea of who they are. They're voting because they're constantly falling for the same trick over and over and over again, and your enemy knows how to get you. I got a scripture right here. This is Deuteronomy 6 and 7. This is who you are. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk to them when thou sittest in thine house. Salakia 7 and 6. For thou art a holy people unto Yahweh thy power. Yahweh thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. That has never changed. Never ever. But they make you think that it has. And in the New Testament, the Lord loves everybody, and all you got to do is just mention JC and that you believe, and it's going to work out. It's crazy how like-minded some of these heathen nations are, along with 2/3 of Jake. Here's something else. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So when you think about what we're going through what we're going through because of slavery. Salakia, of curses. We're going through what we're going through because the Lord had put a mark on us for curses. And this is why we act the way we do and why we're at the bottom the way we are. There's plenty of scriptures, especially in chapter 28, that break down for you to understand more about why and who we are and why we go through what we go through. I got another scripture. Let me jump down to 28. And Deuteronomy 28:29. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in the ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. So aren't we those people today? We are spoiled and oppressed, and no man has saved us. Not Malcolm X, not Martin Luther King, not Marcus Garvey. Any man that claims to be who we are, which are Hebrew Israelites, they're not here to save us. That is Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah's son, Yahweh Shah's job. And no one's going to take that job from him. It's solidified.
Our children need to know their story. And it did not start.
It's going to be hard for our children to know a story because this is in the 80s and this is 2024. And the lie is still being spread that we are so-called black people. We are heathens. And all we have to do is believe in JC. I don't like saying the name. And we gonna be all right. And all of this time, we still got Jake. We still got and for educational purposes only, fair use. Because I know sometimes how it can get crazy. But this is fair use. And we've been saying that for a while now, and look how they still continue to do us, man. All the time.
And it should be more than just names and dates and events.
So, let me see. I got another scripture. Should have had it on deck. Let's see. Give me 1 second, Israel. I know it's in Deuteronomy. I really jumped the gun there. Let's see. There we go. Deuteronomy 28:66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And this is what we have been dealing with since they brought us here. Every 10 years, our names get changed, and they form up a new organization to terrorize us. And this is what we've been dealing with since we've been here. Let's jump to the next one.
I mean, sure, you think that you can bully and intimidate people as you always have, but
This is
things
the
are different
present.
today. This
We're in
isn't
the present.
1991, and it isn't 2001. What a difference 20 years makes. The West is in shambles. Europe is imploding. America is bankrupt. You want to shift from sending all your money to the corrupt and steady losing army of Ukraine to now sending all of your money to the corrupt and steady failing army of Israel. As if
So you hear what he's saying about Babylon getting down with Israel. Fair use, fair use, fair use. Getting down with Israel, and how we've been wasting a lot of our money, and now things are coming to end, and it's getting bad out here. Salakia. On the 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians 13 and 9, and it reads, For we are glad when we are weak, and ye are strong, and this also we wish, even your perfection. So these weak nations that have been throughout the time are now strong, just like America and just like Russia and China is now. They have their nuclear weapons, they have their armies, and what's going on is a lot of these places are joining with BRIC to battle against NATO. And you should know who BRICS is by now, but BRICS is the battle against NATO, so there's going to be all kinds of wars going on.
Own people don't need that money. I mean, look, America just sent warships over to Israel. Nothing could better show what a failure Israel is.
And something like that is going to help spark a civil war, because, like he just said, we sending this Babylon is sending all this money over to Israel, and all they doing is just pissing the money away when we got people here in our own place that needs help more than ever.
Failure U.S. policy has been with regards to Israel. I mean, even Ariel Sharon back in the day rightly stated that Israel was supposed to be America's warship in the Middle East, but now you have to send backup. I mean, you've been taken for a ride for decades now. The American people pouring hundreds of billions of dollars to prop up a colonial project for all these years, and it still doesn't work. Netanyahu and his buddies have been eating your money. I mean, do you even know how many corruption charges there are against that man?
So you see that war is definitely brewing up. That's going to definitely come to Babylon's homeland, on the shores of Babylon, man. And there was just another interview. I mean, there was just I didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but Yashaya was just talking about how smile, please. Social credit system China coming to the rest of the world. So we already told you that there was an NWO happening, and now everybody's going to get down. Here's another scripture I got right here. This is Revelation 18 and 2, and it reads, And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon is great. So Babylon the great is fallen. It is fallen and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So, verse 4, And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye may not be partakers of her sins, and that ye may receive not her plagues. And this is what's about to happen. Babylon's about to be destroyed. And the Lord is calling his elect to come up out of the ways of celebrating holidays and involving yourself in all the things that Babylon is great and known for, and to come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments, and pray to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai that he can have mercy over you, and that he does deliver you out of this situation, because he's only going to deliver his remnant, his elect, and you pray that you can be part of that hopeful elect. So with that, I'm going to rock you were edified, man. I'm going to say, Call hello, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak Radash. Shalom and salutations again in double honor to the men of great millstone, and shalom to the elect.